You should always wear a seatbelt because you never know what could happen. I've been in car wrecks before, but until I got my first truck, I was never the one driving in the car wrecks. The very first day I drove my new truck to school, I ran it off the road into a cotton field. I'll never forget it, and I always wear my seatbelt now because of it. My parents had been looking for a truck for me for a while. One day, as we were coming into Big Creek, which is where I used to live, my mom pointed out a really nice 98 model Z71 in one of our neighbor's yards. She asked me what I thought about getting it, and I got so excited. The next day, they took me to meet the owner and test drive it. It was perfect. It had big tires, true dual straight pipes that were louder than anyone cared to hear, and a 350 big block engine. To this day, I can still remember hearing those pipes for the first time. The man wanted $6,000 for the truck, which was pretty steep considering the transmission problem that we didn't know about at the time, but my parents went ahead and got it for me anyway because they knew how much I loved the truck. So we went and bought the truck, and I went riding in it again before we took it home. I was so excited and happy it didn't feel real. I just couldn't believe this was my truck. I had been prepared my whole life to drive some beat-up, hand-me-down pickup for my first vehicle, and now I had the truck of my dreams. I just couldn't wait to drive it to school the next morning and show it off. The morning after we bought my pickup, I was up extra early getting ready for school. My mom told me to be very careful because it had been raining the night before and the roads were very slick. This basically went in one ear and out the other because I was so excited to drive my new truck to school, and that's all I could think about. I remember cranking the truck that morning and hearing the pipes rumble gave me such a great feeling. My mom told me to be careful one more time, and then I was headed out the door to school. The roads were pretty slick that morning, so I was driving carefully. The last thing I wanted to do was wreck my new truck. This truck was a little old and had a little slack in the wheel I had to get used to. I remember messing with my radio stations and going through CDs to listen to. Needless to say, I was way more distracted than I should have been while driving this big truck for the first time on slick roads. I was coming down a hill going about 50 miles an hour. At the same time, I was trying to move CDs off my dash to keep them from falling in the air vent. By the time I looked back up, I was running off the right side of the road. The right side of the road had a really big ditch with some trees, and the left side of the road had another really big ditch and a cotton field. What happened next happened in a matter of seconds, but it felt like it lasted forever. After saying I was running off the road, I slowly began turning the wheel the other way. At this time, my head was clear enough to know better than to jerk the wheel. After I realized how much slack was in the wheel and slow turning wasn't helping, I panicked and jerked the wheel. This caused me to fishtail and sent me into the oncoming lane. I panicked again and jerked the wheel back to the right, causing me to go towards the ditch with the trees. I jerked the wheel hard one more time to the left, and in the midst of my panicking, I put the gas pedal to the floor thinking it was the brakes. My truck spun all the way around. All I can remember is hearing my pipes roar like I've never heard, and smelling burnt rubber and being stretched out across the seat because I didn't have my seatbelt on and I was getting thrown around the cab of the truck. My truck spun all the way around on two tires, jumped the ditch, and landed in the cotton field to my left. After everything came to a standstill, I was sitting in the passenger seat, stretched out across the seat, still hanging onto the steering wheel. I couldn't believe what had just happened. When I tried to get out, I almost fell to the ground. My knees were so weak from the shock I was in. I couldn't breathe or say anything. I just sat there and tried to gather myself. The vehicle from the oncoming lane had stopped to check on me by now. I began to look at the damage I had done to my truck, and I had rolled one tire off the rim and pinched one of my pipes closed. It sounded horrible now, but I was just happy to be alive. I had no idea things could happen so fast, and I wasn't prepared for it. I'm more careful now driving on slick roads, and I always wear my seatbelt. I definitely learned a lesson from it. I'm just glad I didn't hurt myself or hurt anybody else. This is my diagram of the wreck.
Good job.